Chow and Carrie Oakley in Pilot Point, Texas. In 1992, he was purchased by Diane Chilton, his lifetime owner. The promising young stallion remained in Chow's barn to be started and had a successful futurity career as a 2- and 3-year-old. Under the guidance of Carrie Oakley, Radical stood at their farm from 1993 to 1997. Following those many successful years in the Chow breeding program, he eventually moved into the care of Joe and Susie Jean. Radical Rotter would remain in the care from 1997 to 2013. During this time, he not only continued his already impressive career as a stud, but also returned to the pen as a show horse. With an initial goal of simply finishing his superior, Cleve Wells was selected to be Radical Rotter's new pilot. Of course, no matter how modest the initial goal, what they went on to accomplish was much greater. The pair went on to be reserved at the All-American Quarter Horse Congress and again in national year-end standings, then later to become the AQHA Senior Western Pleasure World Champion. For the 2013 breeding season, Radical moved to the Select Breeders Southwest in Aubrey, Texas. He spent the remainder of his days there until his passing in 2019. The stallion truly left his mark on the future of the show horse industry, siring 1,024 AQHA horses and 57 APHA offspring, 562 of which went on to be performers. Those offspring accrued more than 66,364 AQHA points and $696,892 in NSBA earnings. Additionally, 19 went on to become world champions and 20 rode to reserve world champions. Some of his most accomplished offspring were former NSBA Horse of the Year Radical Rumors, who had lifetime earnings of $125,550. Jinnen, who under the guidance of Chad Evans, became an AQHA World Champion. More Radical, who became a World Champion with Kathy Tobin and Charlie Cole. And he's a Radical Zip, who was a multiple World Champion and the all-around Senior Horse of the Year. With his offspring's success highlighting the exceptional horse he was, the National Snaffle Bit Association is proud to induct Radical Rotter into the Hall of Fame.
Let's welcome Cleve Wells.
Thank you. You know, as being part of Radical's show career, it's always easy to stand up here and talk about some of the highlights of your career, some of the top horses that you had the opportunity to be with. I don't talk about showing. You know, we spend years with these horses. You know, we spend 2-3 years every day, 7 days a week with them. So they're pretty easy to talk about when you get to spend time with a horse like Radical Rotter. But you know, Radical was bought as a yearling from Tom and Carrie Chow, and at that time when Diane and Howard bought him, they started immediately putting a team together. Diane did, and Howard and Tom, to make sure that Radical had the ultimate opportunities in his lifetime to possibly even have a dream of being here today, and that was 30 years ago. To be here today, it started the plan. Radical Rotter was trained by Tom Chow. Later in his career, they came to me and offered me an opportunity to become part of their team, and I was honored to do so. I went on and showed Radical Rotter, reserve at the Congress, won the World Show and Senior Western Pleasure. And then at that time, Diane chose to retire Radical Rotter. And at that point in time, she brought on Joe and Susie Jean from down the rail to stand Radical Rotter. And they did a superior job promoting Radical Rotter, promoting his babies, and they're part of the reason as much as anybody and why we're all standing here today. Radical Rotter had multiple world champions, Congress champions, in many different disciplines, and in all over the world, different countries, all over the world. Radical Rotter was a famous horse. He will go down as being in the Hall of Fame as being one of the greatest sires of our time, and rightfully so. For me, I'd just like to say thank you to Radical Rotter for being a part of my life and my career as a horse trainer. And I know for Diane and Howard, he made a lot of unforgettable dreams, a lot of unforgettable friendships, and a lot of memories. again, what else would you expect from a horse like Radical Rock?
Thank you, please. And congratulations to Radical Rodder and She's a Hot Cookie and all of those who contributed to the success of these great horses. Horses recognized in the horse show category have demonstrated...
Oh, hold it for a minute. Part 2. If you don't know me, I'm Howard Harper. I'm Diane's husband. She didn't think she could make it with even a brief speech about Radical without quite a few emotional timeouts. So in the, trying to keep it short, she decided she would let me read a bunch of her thoughts. So I will say what she and I feel about this great honor. We are overwhelmed. The NSBA has championed the disciplines of pleasure and all-around horses for so long. I'm having some trouble. For so long that its efforts since 1983, it is, without a doubt, a premier organization. And today it's exciting to be part of this event. They already talked about sold-out fairgrounds, extra stalls, all due to people like Stephanie Lynn, Diane Eppers, and President Johnny Dobbs, and their host of people that helped them. Diane wanted to say thank God for this wonderful country and the opportunities it gives us and our equine friends. An honor like this for Radical, as Cleve mentioned, does not come along based on one or even a few people. It takes a team, and it takes support from the horse community to make his career what it is. There's not enough time to name all of the people, but here are a few that Diane relied on during Radical's career. First, she kindly wants to thank me, and I quote her wonderful husband. I may need to remind her of that quote in the future. Her twin sister, Cindy Chilton-Harper, and her husband, Gary Moore. That's kind of the family. For a long time, BFFs, Lisa and Paul Burdine, Beth Kazel, Beth Ballard, who were with her from the start to the finish of this special journey. The wonderful vets, Dr. John McCarroll, Dr. Alan Donnell and Josh Donnell, her horse chiropractor, Dr. Gerald Red, and her steward, Charlie Roscoe, all kept Radical going for many moons. On the breeding side, where every stallion needs expert handling, Carrie Oakley, Joe and Susie Jean, and in the end, Select Breeders Southwest, for leading Radical with breeding dummy, shipping and freezing semen, foaling mares, and all those things you need to do to get a foal. Diane would always say, we're not in the semen business, we're in the foal business. And Radical has mentioned more than 1,000 foals on the ground. His show career, Tom Chown, may he rest in peace, for starting Radical and taking him to the bronze trophy at the 2-year-old Western Pleasure. And of course, Cleve, who you heard already speak, he finished his superior without he finished his superior. That was the plan. And gave Radical his World and Congress Championships. And of course, there's also marketing, which is critical for a stud program. Casey Nova and Ashley Montgomery can't be here today for all their wonderful ideas, ads in the journals and magazines. They helped change the way horse advertising works. And finally, thanks to so many breeders, trainers, riders, and owners who produced, registered shows. To date, almost 1,100 foals across all the breeds, 70,000 points, $1.7 million, 48 World and Reserve Championships across 6 different breeds, and still counting. Again, thanks to all these people who contributed to Radical's great career. And this part, which is going to be hard, we miss him every day. But we can visit his grave at our place in Pilot Point. He was buried there with his longtime girlfriend, a very old and sweet company from Select Breeders. G that figured out that Radical always wanted to have a